to you that the ladies have got a lot going for them. And well, as we all know, ladies are very good at doing lots of things at the same time. They're also very good at thinking ahead and planning ahead. I'd like to start. I must apologise first of all. I'm not up to Alan's ability to create rhyming lines, so I'm not even going to try. So it's a little bit of a little explanation or a little scene that took place in a house, which could be anybody's house anywhere in the world, which when I read it first certainly brought a smile to my face. So Mum and Dad were watching TV when Mum said, "I'm tired and it's getting late, I think I'll go to bed." She went to the kitchen to make sandwiches for the next day's lunches. She rinsed out the popcorn bowls, took meat out of the freezer for supper the following evening, checked the cereal box levels, filled the sugar container, put spoons and bowls on the table, and set the coffee pot for brewing the next morning. She then put some wet clothes in the dryer, put a load of clothes into the wash, ironed a shirt, and secured a loose button. She picked up the game pieces left on the table, put the telephone book back into the drawer, watered the plants, emptied a wastebasket, hung up a towel to dry. She yawned and stretched and headed for the bedroom. She stopped by the desk and wrote a note to the teacher, counted out some cash for the field trip, pulled a textbook out from hiding under the chair. She signed a birthday card for a friend, addressed and stamped the envelope, wrote a quick list for the grocery store. She put both near her purse. Mum then washed her face with her 3-in-1 cleanser, put on her night solution, age-fighting moisturiser, brushed and flossed her teeth, and filed her nails. Dad called out, "I thought you were going to bed." "I'm on my way," she said. She put some water into the dog's dish, put the cat outside, made sure the doors were locked. She looked in on each of the children, turned out their bedside lamps, hung up a shirt, threw some dirty socks in the hamper, had a brief conversation with the one up still doing homework. Oh. In her own room at last, she set the alarm, laid out her clothes for the next day, possibly husband's clothes as well, straightened up the shoe rack. She added 3 things to her 6 most important things to do list. She said her prayers and visualised the accomplishment of her goals. And all this, by the way, without the use of a telephone. About that time, Dad turned off the TV and announced to no one in particular, "I'm going to bed." And without another thought, except for brushing his teeth, he did. So I think that illustrates very nicely the way our minds work differently. So my premise is that women not only can multitask, which we all know about anyway, but they can run a household with minimal amount of male help, and they can think and plan ahead more than just the next 10 minutes. But apart from all that, we can also happily take on the male role when called upon to do so. Now, being in the company of Scottish country dancers, which I hope I am, I have to illustrate this by visiting a Scottish country dancing group. So please visualise yourselves as visitors from outer space. You have been told that the human race comprises 2 sexes, men and women, but you've got no more information. So you observe this Scottish country dancing group. Can you tell the difference, perhaps, by what the humans are wearing? Some are wearing skirts, and some are wearing trousers. Oh, it looks like one skirt person is dancing with one trouser person. Oh no, look over there. There's a skirt person dancing with a skirt person. And over there are 2 trouser humans dancing together. So that's perhaps not the best way to tell them apart. I wonder why some are wearing skirts and some are wearing trousers. A little aside here, a little joke that amuses me is those of us who get to know men through Scottish country dancing, we often only see them wearing kilts. So, walking down the high street, you come across a dancing friend, a male friend, with his wife. But of course he's not in his kilt, he's wearing his trousers, and you say to him, "Goodness, hello John, I didn't recognise you with your trousers on." Anyway, getting back to the person from outer space observing the Scottish country dances. You decide that you better listen into some conversations to see if that helps you. You can understand the conversation, you've got some advanced technological skills coming from outer space, so you can translate what's being said. Here are some things you might overhear on the dance floor. "Are you a man or a woman?" And then some point through the dance, "Oh, I forgot I was a man." But I prefer being a man. And towards the end of the evening, "Well, I've been a man all night, shall I be a woman now?" This, I'm sorry, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Scottish country dancing, this is because, of course, we ladies have to dance as men very often because there's not enough men to go round. And something I actually found myself saying last night was, "Am I a man?" or "I'm not a man." Anyway, I can't really remember what I am, what did I start off as, so it can get a bit confusing. So anyway, this person from outer space decides they've had enough and they're going to go back to the sanity and safety of their own planet. Now, as I just said, as most of you are hopefully are aware, we often have to dance as men throughout an evening. Which for most of us is no problem. We do it quite happily, quite automatically, and it's not a problem. But it can be a bit confusing for new dancers. And there is a poem which I'm going to read at the end, which will illustrate this. But very occasionally, when there are more men than women, which does happen sometimes, the roles have to be reversed, with a man or two becoming a woman or two, meaning two men are dancing together. Well, they do their best, but they do find it hard, poor things. Anyway, for some reason, perhaps a bit of guilt, some of these men feel sorry for us women having to dance as men, and they have written some clever dances, supposedly to make us feel better. For example, inspired by the poem which I'll read shortly, the late Derek Haynes, which some of you will have heard of, he wrote a lot of dances, not least of which is MacDonald of the Isles. He devised a four-couple strathspey called 2 Up, 2 Down. At the end of 32 bars, all four couples are on the opposite side, and the dance repeats itself with the bottom of the set becoming the top and with the fourth couple leading. So who's on the man's side? Which is the man's side? What have you become if you were a woman dancing as a man to start with? Are you now a woman? Well, who knows? And another dance, dedicated to all those ladies who frequently have to dance as men, is called ambidextrous, meaning you can use both hands equally well. Should probably be called ambisextrous, meaning you can dance equally well as a man or a woman. Now in this dance, each couple dances the dance twice. The first time normally, and the second time, all now being on the opposite side, with, as the instructions say, genders temporarily reassigned. Again, if you were a woman dancing as a man, what on earth are you now? And one more example. In this dance, the men take on the role of ladies in the ladies' chain. Sorry, becoming a little bit more technical now. And the ladies become the men in a men's chain. And the dance is simply called Who Am I? Oh, indeed. So Scottish country dancing is not for the faint-hearted. So to finish off with a light-hearted poem This was written by a lady called Pat Batt. I used her last year. She's written a selection of poems connected to Scottish country dancing. This one's called The Lady's Man. I am a two-sex country dancer and may seem rather dim, but I never spend one evening as a full-time her or him. I change my sex from dance to dance. My corners always alter. It's really not surprising I occasionally falter. The old and simple dances I can manage very nicely, and I can learn a new dance and do it most precisely. But when it comes to next week, I don't know if I can, for I learned it as a woman and now dance it as a man. And so you men who have the luck to stay always the same, when female gentlemen go wrong, be sparing with your blame. I'll add a postscript to this tale. One comfort I have got, when both the women change their sex, it doesn't show a lot. So let's raise our glasses to the laddies. Whatever side of the dance they might end up on, we love them anyway, so to the laddies. To the laddies.
Thank you.